Hello and welcome to my Unreal Engine 5 inventory setup tutorial. During this series, we will walk through the steps necessary to create and use an inventory system in a multiplayer setting. Without further ado, let's get started. In the content browser, create a new blueprint class as an actor and name it master item. Double-click the master item blueprint to open it. In the blueprint editor, add the following variables: item name, item description, item image, and item mesh. Add a static mesh component to the blueprint. And we're going to set the mesh to treasure bags. Select the static mesh component and search for collision, then set the preset to no collision. Go back to the content browser, open the inventory component. Add a variable, and we're going to call this inventory. We're going to use our master item blueprint for our variable. Create a new widget blueprint called inventory slot. This will serve as the template for creating the slots in the inventory. Open the master item blueprint. Add a sphere component to your master item blueprint. Set the radius to 50.0 and name it Interact Cole. Add an event to your master item blueprint. Click Add on Component Begin Override. Go to the content browser. We're going to create an interface. Right-click and select Interface under Blueprints. Go into our interface class and create a function. We can call this Add Item. Create an input and we can call this item to add. We use our meta item blueprint for our variable. Go in the master item blueprint. Add a branch node to the other actor pin to the item to add reference, and the condition set to does implement interface. Once this is done, we will go into our master character blueprint, select class settings, and add our interface under the details panel on the right-hand side. We make our way back to our master item blueprint. We're going to set true to our add item function. A call function node will be then set with the target pin to the item to add reference and the function set to add item with the item to add pin set to self. Lastly, a destroy actor node will set with the target pin to the item to add reference. Locate the Replicate section in the Details panel. Set the Replicates property to true. Next, we are going to need to select our interface for the does implement function. When we run our game, we can see that when we run through the item, the actor is now destroyed. Now we just need to add the item to our inventory. We also want to go to our inventory component and be sure we have our inventory variable set to a class reference and an array. Now, we are going to go into our master character and search for our add item function and add it to our event graph. We can drag our inventory component from the component panel and get our inventory variable from this. From the inventory, we search for an add array utility. We then connect item to add to the add utility. We then connect the our event. Now we can go to our master item and change our name, description and image. In the previous episode, we learned how to create our inventory icons, and for this example, we are going to set our image to our health potion icon. Once this is done, we can go to the content browser and create a material. Choose the transparent material and change the blend mode to masked. Add a constant to the opacity and set it to 0. This will serve as the template for creating the slots in the inventory. Add a canvas panel to the blueprint. Add a button and an image onto the canvas panel. We will resize the image and button. Change the color of the button to black to serve as the background for the item image. Go to our inventory blueprint. Search for a custom event and name this update. Next, add a function called update. After this, we are going to add our inventory input. Once this is done, we will search for each and add our loop. We also want to search for create widget. In our inventory slot blueprint, we will create update function. We drag our item image variable into our event graph. We search for set brush from texture. We connect our texture to the top left corner of our function. Within our inventory blueprint, we connect array element to get class defaults. Set the widget class to the inventory slot. Add the update function to our widget. Connect the return value to the target of update. Connect texture to the item image of our get class defaults. Go to the inventory blueprint and click on the designer. Search for text and add the word inventory to our inventory. Next, search for grid and add a uniform grid. We right-click on our text and wrap with a vertical box. We do the same for our grid. Search for our inventory slot and add this to our inventory. You can change your row and column setting in the Details panel. You only need to add the one slot, but this is an example of what it could look like if you fill the entire inventory with slots. Once you have your slot added, you will now want to make the grid a variable. Now we go back to our inventory blueprint and drag our guard to our graph. Add a child to our grid panel. Connect the update function to the child. Go to the inventory component and search for our update function from the return value from our node that will create our widget. From the inventory array on the function, we just drag and get our inventory variable. Within the inventory blueprint, we need to connect our return value to the content pin of the add child node. Once this is done, we can run the game, and when we walk over our item, it will now appear in our inventory. And this will wrap up the second episode of this series. Make sure you like and subscribe to receive notifications of the next episode. You'll also want to check out some other videos from one of our channels listed in the description.